by Edward Halibut. The Futile Flight of John Arthur Ben. He forgot the most important rule of time travel. Don't fall asleep. By putting himself into reverse, the doom-intended man left the 20th century far ahead. 1956 was a good year to get out of. John Arthur Ben watched the roaring 20s go by, and the gay 90s backwards, and wondered how it would be to pilot a riverboat on the Mississippi, or to fight under John Paul Jones. Before he was really aware of it, he was for a speeding second a contemporary of another John, Smith, and thought about the life of the red man before the colonists began changing things around. By that time, the scenery had begun to get monotonous, just shrinking trees, and John Arthur Ben swung over into lateral. Ah, England. There went another namesake, Ben Jonson, and in a very little while he considered slowing down to meet still another. But King Arthur flashed past and into the womb in West Wales, just as John was convulsed by a sneeze. It was quite draughty, and he should have dressed more warmly. And as he stuffed his handkerchief back in his pocket, he caught just a tantalizing glimpse of an interesting Druid ceremony. John Arthur Ben blacked out somewhere in the limbo of the pre-Christian era, as he'd been warned he might. And when he came to, he found himself lying in a rather uncomfortable heap with his head in a mushroom patch. The mushrooms, and the trees around him, weren't shrinking anymore, so John knew he'd stopped, or at least was going slowly. After a while, he decided he wasn't going at all, and got to his feet. It seemed very pleasant here, in the woods, so he found a fallen tree to sit on, and took a wrapped sandwich and a small vacuum bottle of coffee out of his pocket. When he'd finished his meal, he walked to a stream nearby, rinsed the bottle, tossed the wax paper into the water to be carried away, and pocketed the vacuum bottle. Now, he thought, what? This was scarcely dinosaur country. At this point, a wild boar chased him up a tree. To be killed by a boar would be ignominious after all this, although the animal was well enough tusked to have done the job. And so John Arthur Ben climbed to the highest branch, where the boar's persistence forced him to spend the night. He slept somehow, and, with the closing of his conscious mind, the one that wanted to meet a dinosaur in fatal combat, the conventional subconscious, which also sought suicide, but in a more familiar way, shifted him out of reverse. When he awoke, he was back in 1956, in Philadelphia. Irrevocably, John Arthur Ben knew. He went home and hanged himself in a closet. The end of The Futile Flight of John Arthur Ben by Edward Halibut, read by Dale Grothman. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.